Knicks family, what's poppin'? Is your boy. Here I am now. I'm no longer muted. And I appreciate you guys for jumping on with me and Tony. Shout out to Tony, man, for jumping on with me on a late night. You know what I'm saying? Um, had a long day travel. You can obviously see I'm not in the studio. All right. But I want to jump on. And I do want to apologize. I'm supposed to do a show earlier with Quentin Grimes' trainer, but unfortunately, he had something come up and he was not able to do the interview, but he did say he's going to make sure he makes it back to do the interview when he's available and ready. So we'll be looking forward to that, ladies and gentlemen. So what we're going to do tonight, and you probably hear a little bit of a reverb because hotel got high ceilings and all kinds of stuff, but we're going to do the best that we can with the sound that we have, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to continue to talk about Tom Thibodeau and his approach to the season yesterday. I think it was yesterday, right, Tony? We
It
did
was.
Tom Thibodeau's approach to the season. If his focus is on winning, and we all agreed, yes, his focus is always going to be on winning. And we did his approach to strategy, right? How's he going to address defense? How's he going to address offense? Now, I want to get into focusing on the players. We talked a little bit about Emmanuel quickly and how he might approach Emmanuel quickly. I want to go down the gamut of players and just talk about how he might address those guys this season and his approach to dealing with their personalities. So I guess we should start with Julius Randle talking about personalities, right? He's got I don't even know if he has the biggest personality on the team, but he has the biggest attitude adjustment to make this season. If you're Tom Thibodeau, given I don't know how much importance is on this season, right? But given the season the way that it is, what are you saying to Julius Randle? How are you approaching Julius Randle about recovering from last season?
Shout out to you, Sim. Appreciate you having me on. I don't sleep, so anytime you want to get on at night, I'm with it. Shout out
I'm
to the
right there
chat.
with you. You already know.
Um, yeah, shout out to the chat and your blackest time. Um, I think as far as Randall, how I would what I think he should do is, because some responsibility is going to be taken away, right? But I don't want I
Right.
want Thibodeau to approach it in a way where it's not necessarily looked upon as it's taken away. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like, look at it as relief of taking some of the burden off of you, to where now we can use you where you can thrive the most. You know what I mean? You don't have to carry the team at all times.
Right.
Know that you're gonna have moments where we're gonna need you to carry us.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it don't have to be every or 38 minutes, or hopefully it's not 38 minutes, but you know what I mean? It don't gotta be,
You know,
it don't gotta be all, let's say, 28 minutes. Um
with Tom, he's going to play his guys. He's going to play the guys that he trusts, which is the reason why we know Jalen Brunson is going to get a crazy amount of minutes. You know what I'm saying? He's going to play the guys that he trusts. And if you trust Julius Randle, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. I know I'm cutting myself off, but do you think Tom Thibodeau at all has lost trust in Julius Randle?
I don't. I don't think so, because the trust that he has in him is because Randall gained it. You know what I mean? It's not like it was the trust was given to him. It's not given to any one player. We've seen it. You got to earn it, and we've said this numerous of times. Once you get in his circle, it's hard to get out.
It's hard to get out. It's
You,
hard to
you
get
know what I
out.
mean? It's hard to get in, but once you in there, it's hard to get out.
Right.
So, um, I don't think so, but I don't think it's impossible to happen.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
It just takes time.
And I agree. I don't think he's lost trust in him yet. But if he has another year mentally, emotionally, like he did last season, then he may begin to lose some trust in him. And, just trusting that Randall's able to handle the pressure. Because as the Knicks get better, the pressure just builds, right? The better team they become, the more expectations are going to be put on their head. And it's time to perform. And if Randall continuously shows that emotionally he can't handle it, how can Tibbs not lose some kind of trust? You know,
I wish I could give credit to who it was that said it. And to be honest, I don't even remember if it was someone on the panel or if it was someone in the chat. So please forgive me for not being able to say such and such said. But they were saying the best guy on the team can't be the enforcer, and Randall's the enforcer.
yeah, that
So
does make it tough because even Patrick Ewing wasn't the enforcer. That was Charles Oakley.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, we could go through the list of names across the league and different teams and talk about who's the enforcer and where they are in the pecking order or whatever the case.
Right.
But my question to you is based off of that comment, because I think it's that's one thing I never even thought of, and I've been one to say one of the things we're missing as a team is an enforcer. But what if Randall is that guy, the enforcer? And now, because he doesn't have to necessarily be the best player, maybe he doesn't need the attitude adjustment anymore. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Maybe he could now he could actually thrive in being who he is, because all the pressure is not on him, all the responsibility is not on him. And then now, by no means am I comparing the two players, but I'm talking about, I'll just say it, like Draymond Green, you know, especially if they're not winning, there's one that can say he has an attitude problem. He's, you know what
Right.
I mean? He may not be looked upon the way he is currently looked upon. So not saying the role defensive stopper or defensive guy that Draymond Green is, but maybe he can thrive in that type of being himself with those, you know, added. Now granted, he has to become a better teammate. And that's gonna be the biggest thing. But
Mm-hmm.
what's your thoughts on that though? Uncle Freezy said that. Thank you,
Yeah.
Rayology.
I,
Appreciate you.
I do. Excuse me. I agree with it. Without there being as much responsibility on Randall, he can play a different role, right? He can kind of be, maybe he can be the hothead guy. You know what I'm saying? And allow Jalen Brunson and RJ Barrett to handle the grunt of the responsibility out there on the floor as far as it comes to handling the basketball and creating plays and things like that. He's still going to do some creation. There's no doubt
Mhm.
about it, right? He's going to create with the basketball. Sometimes he's going to bring the ball up the floor. He's too much of a guy. If you don't allow him to do some of those things, then I think you lose a weapon.
Yes, you don't want to throw your tools away because this guy got tools too. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
right.
you still keep your tools and you use them when you need them. But you got another guy with tools, you let him use his tools.
Let him use his tools, right? And it's Tom Thibodeau's job to figure out how do I use all of my tools in my tool belt to accomplish the goals.
I'll take it a step further, son. Not only can, like, maybe he can thrive as the hothead, um, but part of the problem last year is we didn't have somebody to even tone him down. We didn't have somebody to say, "All right, man, you know what I mean? Like, we get it.
Mhm.
Enough is enough. Calm down." You know what I mean? Like, we didn't have anybody that could approach him. So now, you know what I mean? So now it's even, he can still do it, but maybe Brunson can be the guy that approaches him. And, all right, bro, you know what I mean? I feel you. Let's handle it this way. You know what I mean? Or let's not get this tech. You know what I mean? We need you. Um, let's not get kicked out the game, that one game.
Right.
You know what I mean? That he lost it and was having a great game. We end up losing.
So let me ask you this, because Gmo last night on your show, he said it was last night, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Last night on your show, he said that Randle will only respect a star player that's better than him. He's not sure if he'll have that same kind of respect for Brunson. What do you think about that? Will he have that respect for Jalen Brunson?
Shout out to Gmo. My apologies to Freezy for not remembering it was you that said that. And shout out to everybody that was on the show last night, because that definitely was an all-star
That was a
cast.
dope show. Yeah, that
Um,
was a dope show.
that when he said that, it kind of again opened my brain to something else, because I started trying to put myself into Randall's psyche, and then thinking, you know, he's always been around some type of a alpha, or some type of a
Mhm.
guy that was better than him, you know, from back to Kobe days to AD. And then I'm like, wait, well, when he came here, or even when he came here, he wasn't even the guy immediately. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Mook was kind of the guy by default. Like, they both were coming into the same type of situation of never being the guy, being skilled,
Mhm.
and kind of trying to, see who they could become on their own, or with more opportunity. And even in that first half a year, Mook out, you know what I mean? Mook kind of took that role from him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And maybe that was because of experience. Maybe that was because of whatever. I don't know the reason. But so that was the only time, or first time, that he even, like, I don't know what if he probably doesn't feel like Mook was better than him,
No,
or a superstar. You know what I
I
mean?
think that, part of it is the locker room personalities. And I think Mook probably had the stronger personality. You know what I'm saying? And just his presence. Randall respects his presence.
Hmm.
So I don't think it has to be a star that he respects, but he's got
But
to respect the
that's
person's
where I was
presence.
going. I mean, that showed me that Brunson could do that.
Yeah,
He could be that,
right.
because he's more. You can argue that he's done more in his short career span than Mook did coming in. You know what I mean? Like even that one moment for Brunson, because I was going to say he didn't really play with a star. He's played with Luka, but even in that
Mhm.
one moment where Luka was out, and it was like, this is my time. You know what I mean? Like, nobody thought they was gonna win that series, win the game without Luka. You know what I mean? He put them on his back.
Yeah,
So even that, like, that moment, Mook hasn't had a moment like that.
yeah,
The closest thing to it would probably be just the first half of his season with the Knicks, where
yeah.
he kind of took the lead in a sense.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, I
So
think he can respect Brunson.
I think that he can too. I think that he can and will respect Brunson. I think that I think they're gonna have a relationship. And then Tom Thibodeau can allow Brunson to do some of the heavy lifting, and Rick Brunson to do some of the heavy lifting when it comes to Julius Randle. You know what I mean? Take some of that off of his plate, I guess. It's gonna be interesting to watch the dynamic between Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson. I tend to think that it's gonna work out and that they're going to be I don't want to say that they're going to be buddies. I feel like they have the same type of mindset towards the game. Jalen Brunson may not get as emotional as Julius Randle, right? But I think they, kind of just have the same mindset, a serious mindset about the basketball game. That's why I think those two guys will be able to develop a good relationship on the floor and hopefully off the court as well. You know what I mean? And I think that same type of character or characteristic will rub off on RJ, to keep that seriousness about the game.
I'm bad.
Mm.
So my cat over here
Are you
knocking
good?
everything off the dresser, like one
That's what
thing
they
at a
do,
time.
man. That's what they do. Yeah, he's saying, "Yo, where's my Nick collar?" That's what he's saying, or she. Where's my Knicks collar? That's what they're saying. Um, I do want to give a shout out to the NBA report, man. I stole their background for the night, you know, because I just wanted to have something different up here. So I stole the background. So shout out to the NBA report. I didn't get a chance to watch the show tonight, but I know they had some very good topics that they were discussing. Um, I was, playing ball with my daughter at her college and whatnot, so I didn't get a chance to talk or to check out the show. But Jalen Brunson, I didn't hear what you said, Tony. The mic went out. Um, but Jalen Brunson, we're talking about Julius Randle. Now let's get to Jalen Brunson. We're gonna knock off the three big guys first, and then we'll get to everybody else. Looking at, and we talked about this before, maybe a couple of months ago. As soon as Jalen Brunson was signed, how does Tom Thibodeau approach things with Jalen Brunson? Just looking at the connections that he has. We talked about what Jalen Brunson should do as far as, immediately addressing the players on his team, right? And letting them know, hey, I'm with you guys. I'm in the locker room. Don't worry about my dad. Don't worry about any other connection. This is me. I'm with y'all. But how does Tom Thibodeau approach it? Does he approach it by being harder on Brunson than everybody else to prove? How does he approach it?
I think I think Tibbs is hard on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he has to change anything at all per se. He can't what he can't do is be perceived as taking it easy on him.
Right.
So but these guys had their year or years with Tibbs. So they'll know that right off the jump. So I say as long as he is the same as who he's always been,
Mm-hmm.
which I think that's what's gonna happen because that's the MO of Tibbs. Like Tibbs is Tibbs. Like once you know, you know.
Right.
So I think that the more important part will be, or the tricky part will be because I know Rick is gonna be tough on him, extra tough on him. He already said that, like you know what I mean, publicly. So I'm wondering if I hope Tibbs doesn't feel like he has to play good cop because Rick is playing
Mm,
bad cop.
mm,
You know what I mean? That
yeah.
that's my only question with it.
Yeah. But and you know what? Though, if they're gonna play the good cop, bad cop, then it would make sense for Rick to be the bad cop and Tips to be the good cop. If they're going to play good cop, bad cop. But I agree. If Tibbs plays the good cop with Brunson, then it looks like, you know, you're playing favorites with Jalen Brunson. So yeah, I agree. He's got to be fair. He's got to treat him the same way that he treats everyone else. And maybe he is a little bit harder because he expects him to be the leader, expects him to be the point guard. So it's like, I'm giving you the responsibility of being the leader. So I'm going to hold you accountable, and I'm going to treat you like I'm giving you that responsibility. You know, and
And he can't not say nothing because then it
right,
seems like you just letting your you letting his dad coach him. You're like, you're not even coaching him. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like you gotta say something, but it's gonna be tricky. It's gonna be tricky. I think
Yeah.
the fact that they all have history, I think it favors them more than it hinders them. But
Hmm.
it's a slippery slope. You know what I mean? Like it's a thin line because all it takes is the wrong perspective from one person. You know what I mean? It don't even have to be the team. All it takes is one player or one person to look at it wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, that's going to be something to deal with. It's funny because Tom Thibodeau this season, while we talk about the expectations of the team being lower, possibly, he's got some dynamics to deal with. And I guess every season you have some dynamics to deal with, right? But he's got some dynamics to deal with this season. When you talk about Julius Randle, and then you talk about Jalen Brunson and the connections that Jalen Brunson has with the team, yeah, Tom Thibodeau has some things to deal with, and he's got to think. I think they've got a plan for it. You can't just go in and be like, "Yeah, I got this," because I've been coaching for so many years. I think he's got to deal with it, and think about it and strategize for it. R.J. Barrett was mentioned in trade talks, one of the key players in the negotiations. If you're Tom Thibodeau, what do you? Here's another dynamic, right? What are you saying to R.J. Barrett? How do you make or how do you let RJ know that the team is still behind him 100%? Although he was one of the key players in trade talks. I mean, if I'm RJ, I'm thinking like, you know, yeah, they'll trade me at any time. I'm not holding it against the team because I know it's a business, and I think he knows it's a business. But when they come to you and they say, "We got your back. We're with you. We riding with you." How do you trust that?
Well, for Tibbs, luckily he is holding one hat, and that's the coach, and not two hats as far as GM and coach. So he has. I think their dynamic, their relationship is perfectly intact. You know what I mean? Like, because he has plausible deniability, as you will, as you could say. Like, he could be like, I didn't want to trade
That's true.
you. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
you're
true.
my guy. What do you mean? Like,
That's true.
so he has that in his favor.
Mhm.
Um, and I think his trust in RJ has grown. Um, that second half of the year, that last fourth of the year, I think Tibbs gave him a good opportunity to kind of show he can do more and be more. So I think RJ, he might be in the best spot out of the three of them. To be honest with you, like you know what I mean. Like he has no turmoil. He has, I don't want to say no question marks. There's some question marks, but he's been progressing. Everything's been up. You know what I mean? Randall had up year, down year. Brunson has to fit in. You know what I mean? Like RJ is probably the safest guy right now out of those three. When I say
Mhm.
safe, like he don't have the pressure of the other two guys. He don't have, you know what I mean? Like he don't even have to progress in the sense of if he if his full year is like his second half, like that's a plus because he ended at 20, but he was averaging like what 24 at the, you know what I mean,
During that stretch, right? Yeah.
during that ending stretch. So
Yeah.
like if he could do that, that's a plus. You know what I mean? So I feel like he's good. He's good right now. He's in a good spot. He's paid. You know what I mean? He understands it's a business. You know what I mean? Like he understands he could still get traded. he still has a lot to prove. His contract has incentives, so he has even more reason to prove it other than just wanting to do it. You know what I mean? Like he could get more money from it. So yeah, I think he's the it's not you know what I mean? Like it's not really to worry about with him as long as he keeps being who he is, a hard worker, a guy that wants to be better and get better. I think he's gonna be all right regardless of what.
Yeah, and I do agree with you too. Tom Thibodeau can always play that role. Like, listen, you're my guy. I told him don't move you. You know what I'm saying? That if Donovan Mitchell comes here, I want you to be with Donovan Mitchell. You know what I mean? And so he can always play that role. If and it may not even be a role. It may have been true, but it's like, no, we need this guy here on the team. Now, I don't think RJ is going to have any feelings about. Hey, that's the business, and they all get into it, and they understand that this is the business. This is the way that things go. So I don't think I think he understands that his father's been a professional basketball player, owns a professional basketball team. So I think he gets it. Right? I think he gets it. Now, how do you think does Tom Thibodeau treat him as if he's, I don't want to say the number one guy, but the number two guy? Or is it going to be an equal opportunity offense that they use? Between those three, RJ Barrett, Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, how does Tom Thibodeau approach them as far as their roles on the floor and as being the three-headed monster? How does he approach them three and bring them three together so that they're not battling for supremacy?
Part of me feels like they got to figure that out themselves.
That's true.
But if Tibbs gives them that approach and then they buy in, or whatever approach Tibbs dishes out, if he gives a pecking order, if it's equal opportunity, if it's like whatever it ends up being, I think the most important thing is for them to buy in. One first, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If they buy in, second most important thing is winning. And I put that second because if they buy in and they win, you know what I mean, then sky's the limit. Like if they buy in and they lose, everything could fall apart.
Right. Right.
And if somehow they don't buy in and they go against the grain and win, that's not a good thing per se either.
True. That's very true.
Depending on how Tibbs adjusts to that. You know what I mean? Maybe he has to buy into some things and
And
then that changes things as well.
yeah, I don't think that Tibbs is going to. I don't think he's going to be like, you're the number one guy. Here's the pecking order. I think that develops naturally between the three guys as they get out there on the floor. They start to understand who gets the job done the most, right? And that pecking order develops naturally. Now, if one guy is forcing his way to try to be, at the top of the pecking order, then obviously that becomes an issue. I don't think it's going to be that way, right? And most people are going to point to Julius Randle and say, well, he'd be the one, you know what I'm saying, that's going to try to prove that he's, the kingpin or whatever you want to call it. I don't think I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's a willing guy. People always say no, he's not, and they ask the question, whether or not he's willing to play second fiddle or relinquish the basketball to Jalen Brunson. I think he is. I think he's willing to let Jalen Brunson have the basketball in his hands. It releases the pressure from him, and I think he understands that. He's played where he doesn't have the basketball in his hands all of the time. And I know, you get a taste of it. Now it's like, okay, I got a taste of it. I don't want to go back. But if you're a basketball player and you want to win, you understand the dynamics of the game and you do what's necessary. And if you can't, then yeah, then yeah, you got to go. I guess. You know what I'm
And
saying?
I think
I don't think he's that guy though.
Randall's learned a lot since he's gotten that taste of that role.
Hmm.
So it's not like he has to throw that out the window. You know what I mean? You still learned that stuff. You'll still have an opportunity to utilize those things that you learned. It's just not a full-time role. You know what I mean? Like now we need you to get back to that bread and butter.
Yeah.
Get back to doing what you do best
Right.
and leave that in the toolbox for when you need it.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? I seen somebody say today, I think it was on Twitter, that Randall, they would love if Randall averaged 18 and 10 on good efficiency. I would love it too. I feel like Randall, if he plays, if he goes back and plays, like you said, goes back to his bread and butter. I mean, I think Randall could still average 22 and give you 10, 11 rebounds a game. If he goes back to what his bread and butter is. And I think with Jalen Brunson out there, he can. He has the freedom to do so. I do. And so I think if Tom Thibodeau really just addresses it like, you three guys are the guys, we're relying on you. You know what I'm saying? We need you guys to come together as a three-headed monster and lead this basketball team. Put them in a room together, say, talk some things out. Not that they have an issue with each other, but talk some things out. Let's figure out how we're going to address this season. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it, man. That's going to be an interesting dynamic to watch. I'll be looking at it all season long. Between those three players. Just what the dynamic is like, how they work together. I would really like to see them. We've seen some open runs with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. Obviously, RJ Barrett's not going to be able to get there right now, but as soon as he can, I'd love to see some open runs with RJ Barrett in there too, playing with those guys, building that chemistry early. You know, um, Another guy that was mentioned in trade talks a lot is Quentin Grimes, right? Um, there's a call for Quentin Grimes to start over Evan Fournier. He's heard it. Evan Fournier's heard it. It's going to be up to Tibbs to figure out who, does he want defense or does he want offense? And I say that because I still don't believe that Quentin Grimes has the offensive repertoire of Evan Fournier right now. I think he's still learning. Still learning, the NBA game and where he's going to get his shots and going off the dribble, pulling up, 1-2 dribble pull-ups. I haven't seen that consistently. So he's still figuring out how he plays his basketball game at the pro level, in my opinion. So I don't think he's a better offensive player than Evan Fournier right now. Much better defender. Does he have enough offense where he could start and be productive? I think he does. So that's going to be a battle to watch as we move into training camp. How do you think Tom Thibodeau addresses or approaches Quentin Grimes, the trade rumors that he was mentioned in, and now that he was one of the guys that, hey, we're not trading Quentin Grimes. People are like, well, if you was going to hold him out of those, if he was such an important player that you needed to hold him out of that Donovan Mitchell trade or ask for more, if you're going to include Quentin Grimes, then you might as well start this kid. Let's see if he's really got the goods. So how do you think he approaches him?
I'm in the minority. I don't necessarily want him to start. I do have questions about Fournier and defensively, but Fournier was there all year, and we still ended up being what, top 11
Top 11?
defensively.
Yeah, top
So
11.
um I mean, I know this is you asking about Grimes, but I feel like Fournier's been. I think that's the really interesting question of how Tibbs approaches Fournier, because he hasn't been talked about enough. I don't think he's only been mentioned as you talk about trades, you know what I mean? Like he
Right.
was the one definitive piece that was supposedly going in whatever trade.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Like
Right. That's true. That's
and
true.
and for a guy to have what is perceived to be a bad season, but still holds a record for the most threes in the season,
Mhm.
in his first season on this team, like you would like he probably has a chip on his shoulder, like yo, I know I didn't play up to my standards and my ability, but I just broke a record that, you know what I mean? Like I don't know how long it stood, but this is my first year here.
Yeah.
Imagine what I could do if I'm
If I'm comfortable
in
now.
my groove, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right.
So um I like Grimes. I like his defense. I like his shooting. I don't think, me personally, I just haven't seen enough yet to feel like, oh, he should have been held out of a trade or considered untouchable or definitively needs to start. Um, I don't mind him starting if that's what Tibbs feels. I just
Right.
don't. You know what I mean? I'm not like one of those guys. Like he has to start. You know? Yeah. I mean, like
Yeah.
if he gonna start, he gonna earn it and he gonna get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's not gonna be held out.
Right. And you know, I'm the same way. I don't feel like he has to start. I don't. I don't feel like anyone has to start. You know, to me, it's like if you're playing and Evan Fournier is not getting it done, then you bring Quentin Grimes in. You know, Fournier's not getting it done defensively. You bring in Quentin Grimes. You know, I'm more concerned with, you know, who's on the floor down the stretch. And it's the same thing down the stretch, except the game is a little bit tighter now. You know what I mean? So, you know, if you make a mistake on a rotation down the stretch, it could cost you the game. But the same thing down the stretch. Somebody's not getting it done. You put in another player that could possibly get it done. You know?
And I like them competing. I like them competing, to be honest. I like them, you know what I mean? Fournier, it was games he wasn't playing down the stretch. It was long spots in the games where he just wasn't, like he got
Yeah,
taken out and wasn't
exactly.
coming back.
Exactly.
So you
A
know what
lot
I
of
mean?
games.
It's not
Yeah, a
like
lot of games.
anything was given to him either. You know what I
Right?
mean? And then you watch the young boy come in and do his thing, and it's like, oh man, like you know what I mean? Like, all right, next game, I know I can't mess up. I gotta, you know what I mean? I gotta fight over these defensive rotations. I gotta fight to earn my spot. So I think the competition is great and still sharp and still. So
Yeah,
I like them
I
competing.
agree. I agree. I agree. I like them competing as well. Com Yeah, I said that right, competing as well. Yeah, I said that right. Um, I always love the competition between players. You know, like you always say, "Steel sharpens steel." You know what I'm saying? It's gonna help guys to get better, and, you know, hopefully help your team to get better. You know what I mean? Um, we talked about Emmanuel quickly yesterday a little bit. What about Obi Toppin? Because, you know, there's always the argument about Obi and his minutes. He's playing behind Julius Randle. You know, people want to move Julius Randle just for Obi Toppin. Well, you know, people don't like Julius Randle, but one of the reasons too is because Obi Toppin was drafted to the Knicks. He's the eighth pick. People want to see Obi Toppin play. I'm still of the mindset you got to beat out the guy that's in front of you. You know what I mean? You got to beat out the guy that's in front of you. How does he approach Obi? Because I know Obi feels like he needs more minutes. And it's hard for me to see where those minutes come. It's just it's just hard for me to see it. If he's not going to play a small ball lineup, if he's not going to play, like Randall at the 3 and Obi at the 4 in a few minutes per game or something like that, where does the extra minutes come from? I don't know where they come from.
That is the impossible question to answer. That's the one that stumps everyone. Like, where they gonna come from? Like, we have the, like you said, is it gonna be small ball? Is it gonna be Randall at the 3? Some have said Obi at the 3. You know what I mean? Like, but we not gonna know until we see it. You know what I mean? Like, and we probably won't believe it. That it's like, what,
Right. Right.
they are playing small ball, you know what I mean? Or what? Hey,
Yeah.
um, the thing I tell Obi is, if I'm Tibbs, is play like you're not looking over your shoulder. Like, I say, yeah, I made a mistake. I should have played you more, but damn it, you should have played better in the minutes
That
that you played early, and
100.
then you know what I mean. So we both made some mistakes. You know what I mean.
100%.
But play like, you know what I mean. Play like you capable of playing, and don't worry about the minutes. Like, that will figure itself out. Part of the minutes you got was based off of your performance when you got the min. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
they played a hand in each other. So I'm gonna take some blame. You take some blame, and you know what I mean. This is what I'm telling you. You got to play like you're not looking over your shoulder. You play like that, I'm playing you. I have no choice.
Right. But let me ask you this: if let's say that Obi and Randall are both playing well, right? Randall's doing what he needs to do, and Obi's doing what he needs to do when he's getting his minutes. How do you find more minutes for him?
Well, here's the thing. This is going to be super interesting because when Randall was playing well, or I'll say at his best,
Mm-hmm.
he was actually playing that lead guy role.
Right.
I don't know. So what is well not in that role? You know what I mean? Like, we so it's going to be interesting. Obi has played, when he played well and when he played bad, it was in the same role.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So if Randall is playing well, and it's the old role where he's the guy, I think they can play together. They can figure it out. Um, if they're both playing well in a similar role, as in like just a integral part of the team, just not, or just a part of the, like a,
And,
just the power forward. You know what I mean? Like,
okay. I mean, are you saying in a role like a role similar to what they played last season, or just because, like you said, Randall has a new role. Obi, for the most part, is going to be playing the same role. So
I put it like this: if they both playing well, it's gonna have to come down to percentages. It's
right.
gonna have to come down to like 3-point percentage. Like, it's gonna be those little things that factor in who gets what. You know what I mean? Like, because if one of them is shooting 40% from three, the other one's shooting 33% from three, but the guy shooting 33% from three is not shooting, is only shooting two a game. You know what I mean? That low percentage at three isn't really hurting the team, especially if he's shooting, 50 something percent from the field. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic. It's going to be crazy though, because I just thought about that. We haven't really seen Randall play good or well or great in a subpar role.
Oh, like yeah, right. Like
Like, just
playing a
yeah,
role, not being the guy playing
yes,
a role.
we haven't seen that. Like, not on the Knicks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's okay. So if he's, let's say Randall's 18 and 10, 50% from the field in his, 35 minutes a game, 34, 35 minutes a game. And Obi, he's giving you in his 15 to 17 to 18 minutes per game, he's giving you um 12 points, 5 rebounds, or something like that, or 10 points, 5 rebounds, and he's shooting 50% from the field around that, and he's shooting 35, 36% from three.
See, it's tough.
It-
Is Randall
it's-
still demanding double teams? Is he
that's true.
still, you
That's
know what I
true.
mean? Is he still making other people's jobs easy because of, you know what I mean? Like that's where people get things a little conscrewed or mixed up because Obi, I think it's a lot easier to have just just be a role player and exceed or just, you know what I mean, like it looks like you're doing better because you have less responsibility. All you have to do is this and this. You
Right.
got 3 things to do, you know
Right.
what I mean, while I have 6 things to do, 7 things to do. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes a tough situation for Obi though, right? It makes it a tough situation because Randall signed for 4 years. And if he's still on this basketball team, where does Obi find where does he find the time? At some point, you got it. At some point, Obi's going to want to test to be a starter, right?
mm,
He's going to want that chance to prove that he can be an all-star player as a starter or be whatever. But he's going to want that chance. It makes a tough situation. It makes a tough situation, and it's interesting to see how Tibbs is going to approach that situation. You know what I'm saying? Because at some point, at some point, something's got to give between the two. Either if Obi starts to really play well and it looks like he can be a starter, but Randall is still playing as a starter and producing as a starter, I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do because that's it's going to be hard for them to get equal minutes, right? Because if Randall is producing, you're not taking his minutes down to 25. You know, they're not going to split minutes. They're not going to be 24 minutes apiece. Randall's going to be in his prime.
Randall gonna have to play so well that we just like he's part of us blowing teams out to now where he got his numbers and he could sit down, sit down and be like, all right, Obi, now you got the opportunity with the minutes
Right.
and you could go. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
that's
tough.
going to be that's going to be a tough one. You know what I mean? That's going to be a tough one. We'll see how it goes in what Tom Thibodeau decides. I mean, from the beginning of the season, I think I know what he's going to decide to do. He's going to rock with Randall until Obi proves that, or Obi starts to push him out. He's going to rock with Randall until Obi starts to push him out. It's going to be up to Obi to do it.
If Obi starts averaging double digits in rebounds, that's where I think it's gonna get tricky. You know what I mean? Because even like Randall might have 11 points and 16 rebounds on a bad on a
On
bad
a bad
night. You
shoot.
know what I mean? Like
But can Obi ever get to the point where he's averaging double digit rebounds if he's not getting the minutes? And I guess you got to look at how many rebounds is he getting with the minutes
per
that he does get,
yeah
right?
yeah. If you're giving me 6 rebounds in 15 minutes, then I might start believing in you a little bit.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right, right. Yeah. Uh, what about Cam Reddish? I know that's your guy, right? What about Cam?
Hey,
On one of the streams the other day, somebody, said that the Bull or on Bulls TV that Derrick Rose may be bought out by the Knicks. I mean, it's possible. It's making what, $14 million this year, 14 to 15 million. He may look and say, I don't know. I don't see Derrick Rose looking and saying, I need to go somewhere where I gotta play
Mm-hmm.
this many minutes. I don't see him being that guy right now.
But see, I got mixed emotions because part of me feels like he doesn't want to play too many minutes. He doesn't want to have a
Right,
road where he may not make it through the season. You know what I
right,
mean? Like he wants a smaller role. So like if I had to bet money, I would bet that he wants to be here, whether it's being situational, whether it's second second string, and I would also bet that he doesn't want to start. Like I think he said that publicly,
yeah.
or
I
it's
agree with
definitely
that.
been public that he doesn't want to start.
Right.
So I think Chicago wants him, especially knowing that Ball's not going to be ready.
Yeah.
So I think they're just trying to plant seeds. They buy you out, we'll pay you.
Oh, we'll pay you.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Come on
Come
back
here,
home. Come back
and
home.
it'll be like we'll need you now, but as
Right.
soon as Ball's ready, you could get
Right.
that reserve role that you want, and you know what I mean. So I think that's them posturing more than us being willing to. But I'll say this: if we buy Rose out, that's a big move. That means they believe in quickly, and I say that at the point that means Grimes is solidified as the backup two or
Or
starter,
three.
whichever one.
Three. Oh, Grimes. You say
Yeah,
Grimes is solidified. Right. Right. Right.
yep. And now Cam has a definitive role. You are RJ's backup,
Unless they sign somebody else, because they
unless
got
they
two,
sign somebody else.
because they still got two spots.
Unless they sign
But
somebody else.
that
But
would be
you know what I
10.
mean. That it kind of opens everything up for you know what I mean. Like everybody gets their opportunity. You know what I mean? We still got the Obi questions with how many minutes Randle gonna get, but it kind of just balances and opens
Yeah.
everything up.
Yeah. And if you guys seen a crazy look come across my face, ladies and gentlemen, it's because I caught a cramp in my leg. That joint cramped up on me, and I was trying to keep a straight face. I don't know if I got a crazy look come over my face or not, but that
I
joint cramped up on me. I was like, "Damn, you're gonna cramp up right now? Really?"
e- Either I didn't see it or I saw it and I thought it was because I said something wrong.
No, that joint, I had to straighten my leg out. That joint got me, man. Shoot, what you do behind the scenes? What you do behind the scenes? I really want to see Cam Reddish play, see him out there on the floor, see what he's gonna do. Um, he's got to stay healthy, right? Not get hurt. I just want to see him get consistent minutes with this team. Hopefully, he's prepared his body the way that Tom Thibodeau wants him to prepare his body. You know what I mean? And he comes in the best shape that he's ever been in. That's what I'm hoping for. But I want to see Cam Reddish play, really get into the system. He only played so many games last season, so now he's got a training camp under his belt with Tom Thibodeau. Um, he's got a half a season with this team. I just want to see. I want to see what he looks like when he's really got consistent minutes for this team, in particular. And if there's not a glut in that second unit, now he has a real definitive role, like you said. So if you're Tom Thibodeau, okay, so let's say that Derrick Rose is here. How you approach Cam?
They're not gonna like my answer. Cam gotta play, bro. I'm sorry, yo. And honestly, I feel like he could play the 2, he could play the 3. I talked about it the other night. he could play a Burks role, but on a reserve, so he could play some of that one position. You know what I mean, and now quickly could play a little bit more off ball, like you had mentioned. I feel like Cam is too valuable. And granted, it's tough to make the argument because it's like, well, what has he shown? What has he shown? He just, I feel like, and I'm with you. I never want to give somebody opportunity, but I feel like he can have more opportunities because of his versatility. You know what I mean? So the opportunity doesn't necessarily have to be backup three. You know what I mean? Or he could play some three. He could play some two. Like I feel like you could put him in that Swiss Army role and say, yo, we're gonna put you where we need you. It might not be at the three today. It might be at the two today. You know what I mean? We might need you to run some point in the second unit.
Right.
Like whatever you need him to do. We might need you to focus defensively tonight. I don't care what you score, but we need you to stop this guy. He's killing us. You know what I mean? Like that's what I envision him to be and be able to stay. Um, it's just tough because you gotta be called upon to do that, and then you have to accept that.
Right.
Um, but if you come to me early or come to him early and say that, like, no, listen, your role might change from day to day. I need you to work on everything because I might need you to stop this guy today, and that might be all I need you to do. Tomorrow, I might need 5 assists and 5 threes. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it, so be that Swiss Army knife, and then buy in, and then know that now you could come in every day. What do you need from me, coach? You know what I mean? Instead of just trying to figure it out. What do you need today, coach?
Right. Right. Yeah. I think I don't think he's the kind of guy that is not going to buy in or be like, nah, you want me to play this? I'm not doing that. I don't think he's that kind of a person. I think he'll do it. I think he believes that he has star potential. I'm concerned about the work ethic. I ain't gonna lie. When I look at just some of the videos, and I'm not talking about even when he was playing, playing pickup or whatever. Talking about the workout videos, and there was one in particular where he was doing box jumps, and I just didn't feel like it was sharp. Like he was doing it with conviction. You know what I mean? And maybe this is just his body language. I don't know. But it didn't feel like he was doing it with conviction, and it makes me question his work ethic. And I know that's been something that's been out there, about Cam for a while. He doesn't work hard. He's, too cool for school, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But when I seen that, it make me question, like, does he really work hard? And I think that's going to be the final determination about Cam in his entire career. His work
Yeah,
ethic.
yeah. I want to see. I'm waiting for the video of him and RJ working out. Like
Mm.
that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, that's a no brainer. RJ has the reputation. You know what I mean? Put yourself up against his regimen. Like, hey, RJ, what you be
Go.
doing?
There you
You know what I
go.
mean? Like, and that's gonna get the Knicks fans hyped. You know what I mean? That's good. That's gonna
Right.
drive. You know what I mean? Make us go crazy. At least
Right.
I know I'm gonna go crazy. And then you know what I mean? It's like, oh, we gotta keep these guys together. Look, they friends. They be like, they working out together. RJ giving him some pointers or whatever the case.
Yeah.
Um, I agree in that sense. I have concerns, but I'm rocking with my guy.
Nah, I feel you.
Somebody
I feel
somebody
you.
called him Knox 2.0, and it sucks because I was gonna argue it, but then I'm like, Knox was my guy too.
Oh man. I
So
mean, Cam has that unbelievable talent, man. Yeah, he has stuff that you can't teach as far as talent is concerned. He has that talent. I just want to see him bring it all out. You know what I mean, I want to see him excel. I want to see him bring it all out. It's going to take that work ethic for him to do it, man. Um, I skipped over, we skipped over Mitch in the starting lineup. It's funny, ever since Mitch signed his extension, it's been real quiet. There's been barely any conversations about Mitch, right? Um, when we talk about Tom Thibodeau and Mitchell Robinson and the approach to Mitch, I don't know. Like I said the other night, sometimes I feel like there's a disconnect between Mitchell Robinson and the Knicks. And he's his own person. He rocks to the beat of his own drum, and that's cool. Nothing wrong with that at all. How does Tom Thibodeau approach Mitch? What do you want Tom Thibodeau to start instilling into Mitch when training camp begins? That's I guess that's my question about Mitch. I still have. I think the Knicks over the summer sent trainers to work with Mitch. I think they had the same concerns about not his work ethic, but who does he have working with him over the summer? Right, Mitch is like he's a hometown kid, right? And it seemed like he was doing a lot of working out with his homeboys, stuff like that. And I was always concerned with do you have a real trainer helping you to develop and to grow and to work on skills that you're going to need in the NBA? That was always something that I was concerned about with Mitch. This year, the Knicks sent their trainer, one of their trainers, to be with Mitch and work with Mitch. Um, Hopefully, it's helped out. I don't know if I'm Tom Thibodeau, how I'm approaching Mitch and what I'm saying to him, what expectations I have for him from the season or about the season or for the upcoming season, should I say? I
I
don't know.
wonder. I wonder if
Anyway,
Mitch was jaded, because he probably was sold a dream. He probably was sold a dream a couple times, considering the number of agents he's run through, right? But going back to pre-draft and working out, for an extensive period of time with AD or AD's
right,
trainer, I should say, and
right,
then having like cameos of working out with AD, he probably was sold something from then of, hey, you know what I mean? Like, look, this is who I've trained. This is da da da. And then his draft stock, plummeted and because even I don't even know if it plummeted, but he probably expected to be drafted or was sold on being drafted higher than he was, right? And then from there, you think of the contract he signed. You, you know what I mean? Like clearly underpaid,
right,
clearly um a novice agent who doesn't put a opt out anywhere in there. You know what I mean? It agrees to the team friendly. You know what I mean? Like that contract was so team friendly. It was like a slap in the face. Like um, as far as approaching him now, and it's another one. Mitch is my guy. He's gonna have to dominate, but dominate at what you do best. I said this rookie year. He could have a 10-year career just doing what he does best and not adding such and such to his game. And this is not me saying I don't want him to add to his game,
right.
but it's going to be tough to do it now. I don't know how much of that he's shown over the last 4 years in practice, but now he has a guy that's on his heels that isn't similar to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he's always kind of played with, I don't want to say always, but I mean, yeah, he's always kind of played with guys that are similar to him. Like DeAndre Jordan was similar to him,
Right.
especially the younger DeAndre. You know what I mean? So now it was like I'm who you could evolve into as far as adding some things to your game, but similar. Sims comes in now. He's like, oh shoot, I don't want to say a younger version because they're around the same age, but
Around the
you know
same
what I
age.
mean? Like,
Yeah. Newer
you
to
know
the
what I mean?
NBA. Newer to the NBA.
Newer to the NBA, but similar to you. But now you got a Hartenstein who has a totally different dynamic. You know what I mean? So I don't want you to start shooting threes now. I don't want you to start doing this extra stuff. We got a guy that could do that. Dominate at what you do best. Grab them boards, get them blocks, get those lobs. You know what I mean? You can add a little bit here and there, but we've seen him dominate with 16 and 16 and swatted everything and changing everything. You gotta be that guy right now
Yeah.
because we don't have time for you to practice something or implement something. We got a guy who could do that.
Yeah.
Give us a change of
Yeah.
pace.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that approach. Just, be a star in your role, I guess. That's what they say. Be a star in your role, you know, um, you know, give us a double double. And I think that's a goal that Tom Thibodeau can and should work out with Mitch. Let's average a double double this year. You know what I'm saying? Um, Focus on grabbing those 10 rebounds a game. Like really focus in on it. I don't care if I would like to see him grab more defensive rebounds, but if he's got to do it on the offensive side of the floor,
Shout out to
do it
Queen.
on the offensive side. Yeah, shout out to Queen. You know what I mean? She's always, I need some more defensive rebounds from him. Yeah, dominate in your role. You know what I'm saying? Dominate in your role. If he can do that, that'll be success for him. I don't know if I'm Tom Thibodeau, if I'm telling him, you're never going to tell a player watch your back because you got this guy coming up, right? He's going to know that anyway because there's going to be certain times when you're going to have to put Hartenstein in the game because he's able to shoot.
Oh, and hit those free throws.
Oh yeah,
Like hit those free throws, and you might can stay in the game. You know what I mean?
right. And I assume they put out video and posts saying that he's working on his free throws. So we'll see how much better he gets. I do want to, Kept Giggles said Mitch don't need any skills. Shaq didn't have any skills. That's a lie. Okay, Shaq had skills. He may not have taken the ball out on a perimeter and faced up and went to the cup like that all the time, but he had skills. Shaq could post up. There wasn't too many people that was going to deal with Shaq in the post. And he may not have spun around you like Hakeem Olajuwon or anything like that, but Shaq had skill, man. You can't front on Shaq. He had some skill. He was big, and so he used his size to his advantage, but he still had some skill.
And I remember Slim Shack. So like that was the Shaq that showed skills. You know what I mean? Like when he put on that weight and that muscle, he kind of started to bully guys.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? Still has skills though.
Yeah, he had skills.
Even Big Shaq.
He had skills. Yeah. Um, what about Jericho Sims though? Right, because Jericho Sims was, and the Knicks did the right thing. They had to get a guy like Hartenstein. You had to get a guy that can shoot it and help to spread the floor a little bit. But Jericho Sims, he got a lot of playing time towards the end of last season, but even earlier in the season, he got some playing time. Now, all of a sudden, here's this other guy here. And
So this is funny. So how I said, I don't want Mitchell Robinson looking at Hartenstein shooting a three or doing a jump hook or doing some move and saying, "Oh, sure, I could do that too." Watch this. I don't want that from Mitch, right?
right,
Sims is like that. He's like that brother that got to watch. You know what I mean? The two older brothers. So he got to see two different dynamics and now implement a little bit from both. Like he's the one that I'm gonna say, you know what? Work on everything. You know what I mean? Work on that jump hook. Work on that 3-point shot. Like you can implement these things. Now, granted, we may not see it during the season, but I want him actively working on, you know what I mean, take a little bit from him. You already got the similarities with Mitch, you know what I mean? So we don't want you to be a carbon copy. We
Right.
want you, you know what I mean? We want you to add to your game. You're probably stronger than both of them. Use that. Now you have a dynamic that, you know, maybe neither one of these guys have. You know what I mean? So I want you to find your niche that separates you from these guys, but I want you to also implement some things that you can duplicate that these guys do.
Right.
So maybe in a year or two, maybe you're better than both of them. You know what I mean? I would whisper that to him. You know what I mean? Like, you know, maybe like maybe you could,
Right. Right.
you know what
Right.
I mean?
Right. The hard thing for him is he's just about the same. He's not just about the same age as both of them. So it's not like he's 19 or 20 and he's looking and saying, okay, I'm going to take from both of these guys, and I'm only 19 or 20 years old. And in a couple of years, one of these guys is going to be moving on their way and I'll be able to step in. He's 24 himself or whatever. It's a tough because I don't see where he plays.
He's a young 24 though.
Right.
Like he did 4 years, right, in college.
Yes. He did 4
You know
years.
what I mean? So he's like a I call it a young 24, like because he's seasoned. You know what I mean? Like he like sometimes he looks raw, but you could tell he's had a lot of practices. You know what I mean? A lot of experience.
Yeah. 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 Try B Ryan, thank you for the super chat. He said, keep in mind, Mitch isn't very durable, so I believe Sims will definitely get playing time, and I do agree. Mitch, there's a chance that Mitch will go down. Now he did play a career number of games last year, right? He played 70 something games last season, so hopefully we have the same luck from Mitch this year. But I agree. He'll definitely be that safety net if Mitch goes down or goes out or whatever. You got Sims back there, who either steps into that starting lineup or Hartenstein steps into the starting lineup and Sims, comes off the bench. Now, do you see at any time Sims and Hartenstein playing together in that second unit for maybe for a couple of minutes or something like that? See how it looks. At least in preseason, let's see how it looks because Sims can play the center spot while Hartenstein can play the 4 spot, spreading the ball out on the perimeter.
It'd be dope if Obi can play the 3 in that unit, put Cam at the 2, and have a big guard, a big point, and either quickly or we seen Grimes play that role in summer league
Hmm.
a little bit. So
I mean, you
that'd be
know,
a nice big second unit, tall
I mean,
second unit.
there's ways to be able to, just give it a couple minutes, a tall unit. Hopefully, they can get down low defensively. You know what I mean? But yeah, you could put a long lineup out there. If you want.
I also would tell Sims, show some aggression and um assertiveness. You know what I mean? Like neither one of we're not gonna see that from our centers per se. You know what I mean? So that's just another niche or angle you could approach the game with.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't be hesitant. Quick moves and aggressive moves,
Yeah.
strong moves. Because that's a strong kid, man. If he could develop some type of footwork,
Yeah, man.
ooh.
Yeah. I'm looking for. Listen, I'm looking forward to seeing him with when we go to some of these Westchester Knicks games, right? Because he'll probably spend some time playing with the Westchester Knicks, I think. But if I'm Tom Thibodeau, I'm preaching to him, stay ready. Just be ready. You know what I mean? You'll get your shot. Just be ready. You'll get a chance, be ready. Yeah, you gotta preach that to him. You gotta preach that to him. I don't know. I think we covered everybody. You know what I
It's a
mean?
great
You
show,
got Farron
son.
Hunt. Okay, so you got Farron Hunt, you got Miles McBride. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't think Miles McBride is gonna get much playing time this year. You know what I'm saying? Farron Hunt either. So I think you'll see those guys in Westchester. Well, Farron Hunt is on a two-way anyway. I know Daquan Jeffries, just signed in training camp an Exhibit 10 deal. We'll see what happens in training camp, but it's a good chance maybe he ends up with the Westchester Knicks. And who knows? Who knows? We'll see what happens. But those guys right there, ladies and gentlemen, they're probably just gonna, play some in the G League. Talking about McBride, Jericho Sims, Farron Hunt. If we get some players that go down, maybe they get a couple of minutes here and there, but I wouldn't expect them to play with the big guys. Not this season. But we'll get a chance to see him in Westchester, which is over in Bridgeport this year.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
And we may be giving away some free tickets too, ladies and gentlemen. So be aware, be ready for that. Some free Westchester Knicks games. So be ready to travel to Bridgeport, or if you're already in Connecticut, just head over to Bridgeport and check out the game. We'll be giving away free tickets to those games all season long, or throughout the entire Westchester Knicks season. We'll be giving away some free tickets.
That's gonna be my that was gonna be my next announcement after the t-shirt goes on Monday.
I
So
blew it for
we
you.
now we good though. We good. Now you got something to look forward to.
Yeah, I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to keep or give away that John Starks shirt that I got. Still, either way, I'm going to frame it. But I'm trying to figure out, am I going to give it away? I was going to give it away at the I was thinking about giving it away at the opening night. Opening night. Yeah.
Well, hopefully whoever I randomly pick somehow is randomly at the game too, because that'd be nice to be able to give it to you in person rather than have to mail it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And look at Greg, said what happened to that signed jersey, with the little laughing, crying emoji. He got it. He's gonna give it away. Oh no, he's gonna give it away. So
Monday, come on the show Monday.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let me ask you this before we get out of here, because I see a lot of people say, if the Knicks aren't playing well, or we get to the trade deadline and the Knicks are struggling, this or that, Tom Thibodeau is going to be on the hot seat. He'll be on the way out. Do you believe that?
I believe if there's a change, it's gonna be the whole regime. I think they play out they contracts. I really believe they play out their contracts, win, lose, or draw. Unless it becomes an epic failure. But even then, I feel like it's tough to it's tough to put the blame on anybody. I mean, at least until this point, Tibbs kind of has. I don't know if he can get away with it this year. He can't really say, "Oh, look what they gave me." You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like now it's really time for Tibbs to kind of go back to trying to win Coach of the Year type. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't think he's on the hot seat just yet. I think at this point, I really believe the front office would vouch for him. And in that being said, it would be the whole regime getting the boot. Like I got, you know what I mean? Then rather than the coach, just the coach.
Yeah.
Man. I don't think they'd throw him under the bus type. You know what I mean? Like, because it would come from up top. I don't think they would just be like, all right, Tibbs, we made a mistake. You know what I mean? Like, because all these guys kind of have relationship. I feel like they sign a pact that, yo, we're going to do this together. You like you may not be in the
I
front
do.
office,
Yeah.
but I'm a talk to you and get your input. You know what I mean? You may not be coaching, but I'm gonna tell you what I'm thinking and why and what I need. You know what I mean? So I feel like they all kind of in it together.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that. And this is the reason why I believe this regime is going to at least play out their contract and the coaching staff as well. Well, Tom Thibodeau, the coaching staff, we've already seen changes in the coaching staff, right? But Tom Thibodeau, I believe, will play out his contract. Uh, you
And
know,
then Sin, I'm sorry to cut you, but if they're buying, if that's what it is, right? If what I'm saying is accurate, and they can show that externally to the team
mhm,
and say, hey, we're trying to do this all, we're all in this together. You know what I mean? It's not just front office coaching staff, but guess what? You know what I mean? We didn't accidentally make you guys' timelines at you know end at the same time. You know what I mean? We didn't accidentally put it to where like we want to all grow together. You know what I
right,
mean? So now
right,
if the players can buy into what the front office and coaching staff are saying, you know what I mean? Now you might now you might have something, you
right.
know?
Yeah. Um, and this is the most stability the Knicks have had in a while. And I think some patience has to be given from James Dolan, just for that fact. If you go back and you look at even in the Melo era, how many different players did Melo play with? You know what I'm saying? And you look at Julius Randle, he hasn't played with that many new players on this team besides guys that you drafted. I mean, you had Mook, was on the team. You brought in Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks, but there
And you
hasn't been,
brought him back.
and you brought them back, right? There hasn't been that many new players or this revolving door of players. RJ Barrett the same way. He hasn't had a revolving door of players. Like, you signed like these 5 new players, 6 new players in the off season, and now he's got this whole slew of new players to get used to. They've gradually come in from guys that they've drafted. Obviously, they've made some signings here and there with Evan Fournier. Uh, um, they traded for Derrick Rose, Kemba Walker. You guys know. You guys know. But for the most part, there's been stability around RJ. After Fizdale is gone, okay, after Fizdale, there's been stability for the last 2 years around RJ. So I think that's a good thing for this team to finally have some stability and then see where that stability takes the team. Because it means you got a strong base to build from, I think. So I would like to see, let's let it play out, see what happens. And then when those contracts are up, make a decision, you know. But it's been a long time since the Knicks have had this kind of stability. And it's a good thing for them. We'll see if they can capitalize on it and start to build, like really build championship team. I mean, not with these guys, but you got a base. See where it goes, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see where it goes. I don't know, Tony. Anything else that you want to add? It's 1:14. I'm gonna go watch these last few episodes of Cobra Kai and then try to get up early in the morning to go to this thing I gotta go to tomorrow.
Now I'm glad you waited for me to get home because I feel like this was a real good show.
Yeah,
Um, I enjoyed it. Time flew an hour and a half almost, and it
yeah, man.
didn't feel like it. It felt like we just got on.
Yeah,
Two
for real.
almost 200 in the chat. Shout
Yeah,
out to the chat. Man, this was a good one, man.
yeah. Shout out to you guys, man. Anybody that's working overnight, be easy. I'm glad we was able to help you out for a little while you're at work. Go people who were just chilling at home listening. We appreciate you all for being on here with us. And I might jump on tomorrow night too. You know what I'm saying? I got to drive back home a couple of hours, about 2 hours, go to basketball practice, and then come back. I guess I'll see how I feel after that. You know what I mean? Next week, I'm going to start that player breakdowns. You know, from the coach's corner player breakdowns. You know, I got to see what's going on because I got called in for jury duty too. So, you know, Sunday night, I got to call this number to see if my number is called. And then if so, I got to go to the courthouse and see if they're going to bring me in for jury duty.
You've done it before?
No, never done it.
Oh, I've never done it.
I feel like I've been called in. I've never been, you know, never had to sit on a jury. I feel like
this is the way.
This might be the one.
I always wanted to, and I've never got a letter or call. Not like nope.
For real?
I've always wanted to. I always wanted to, like since a kid. I was like, I want to be a juror. Yeah. And I think that's why it's never happened. So
yeah, get my little $15 a day. I think that's what they give you. Well, where I'm at, I think they give you $15 a day.
Oh yeah, that's not a lot.
They need to bump that up.
Yeah, maybe maybe it's a good thing I never been caught. Cause they pay you. I thought it was good money, honestly.
They give you just enough for lunch. Just enough.
They put you in a hotel though, right? If it's like a 3-day thing.
I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna work. I don't know how it works. All I know is the last time I did it, my number was called and I went down. I sat in this room, you know, and they had some instructions going on. There's a bunch of people in there, and then they came in and said, the person who was gonna be on trial took a deal.
I knew it. I knew it.
They didn't need it. Yeah, so they didn't need it. You know what I mean? So I don't know how they do it, but I hope not. I don't want to go, you know, I don't want it to be where now I can't go to basketball practice or do whatever. I hope it's not that.
That's true. That's true.
You know what I mean? I hope not. But I guess I'll find out Sunday night. I'll call up. And I think I got to call up each day. Each night I got to call up to see if my number is called the next day.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna sit and watch a couple of. I think Martin did a couple of episodes where he had jury duty, or at least one. Go watch that and laugh.
Get some preparation.
Yeah, do some prep. Yeah, man. So, but anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. You know, 118. You know, thank you all for being here. And you know, maybe I'll catch you tomorrow night. You know, just look out for the notification. Tony, any last thing? I think we're down to just one ticket left too.
Oh, that means my guy ain't do it. I'm gonna send the link to him one more time.
Yeah, you better
see if he get it.
Somebody's gonna get it.
Somebody gonna get it. Nah, man. Appreciate you, Sim. Yo, Black is time. Knicks and Bruises should be back Monday, regular scheduled time around 6:30.
All right.
And yeah. That's it.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your time. Rest easy tonight or this morning, whatever it is. We out of here. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.